Good afternoon, family. It is February 7th, 2022. If you are new to the channel, my name is Jonathan, and I created this video journal as a way to record my progress as I work towards my goal of achieving a healthy weight. If you do enjoy my videos, make sure that you do get subscribed to the channel. Also, make sure you click on the bell icon so you'll get notified when I go live or when I post new videos. And if you'd like to participate in on the discussion, you can join me live most weekdays at 4 p.m. Or you can consider joining our Discord. The link for that is down in the description below. Also, if you are interested in getting some ideas for meals or trying to see kind of what we eat to lose weight, there's a link in the description below for a Pinterest board that we created that has a few of our favorite recipes on it there. Let's get going today. Oh, I hit the wrong button. There we go. I got everything moved around. I hope everybody had a great weekend. I know we had a super busy weekend. It was one of our kids' birthdays, so we had a house full of kids Friday night celebrating the birthday, and then we had family come and visit for the weekend, and we had people over Saturday, so it was a bunch of celebrating for the birthday this weekend. Um, and I'll get more into that, I suppose. If anybody has any non-scale victories they'd like to share, I'd love to hear your non-scale victories. If you guys have any questions or comments or anything you want to talk about, go ahead and ask below. Whether you're watching it live or you're watching the repeat, I love to hear from you guys. But yeah, this was a busy weekend. We had a lot going on. I got on the scale this morning. I don't have a scale at home, so I almost titled this stream "Ignorance is Bliss" because uh, not knowing where I was over the weekend, I didn't really give it much concern, I guess. Or yeah. So, um, but like I said, it was a really busy weekend. Friday night, right after the stream, I went home. We actually weren't sure what to do. We were gonna have 3 or 4 girls at the house staying over. We had a couple stay over and a couple just come for the party itself. And so we ended up ordering a couple of pizzas from a place that we know makes really good vegan pizza. And so we ended up ordering a taco pizza, which our daughter really likes. And then we got a pan pizza from the place that is really awesome. I had every intention of sticking to my diet 100% and making it through this weekend. And I bought those pizzas. And I mean, you'll find any excuse to give in to temptation, but for me it was the cost of for the pizzas are great, and I love that the place offers the pizzas, but they just upcharge up the butt for the vegan option. And so it's really uh a big price tag to bite off to buy their vegan pizza. And but I did restrain myself with the pizza. I was a lot of times we order this pizza and we're the only ones eating it, or we order enough that I can have a lot of it. And so I did hold back on ordering a bunch of pizza plus money. Wasn't going to spend the money on more pizza. Uh But yeah, I ended up only having 1 or 2 pieces, and we were splitting it between the kids. And all of the kids that came over that tried the pizza, we had some issues with other allergies. Um, I think they enjoyed it. They went back and had seconds of the taco pizza, so they liked that. I was like I said, I did have some. I was able to restrain myself a bit, but then I really just kinda used that as an excuse to give into having some tortilla chips and queso dip. I mean, it's really my uh kryptonite is the tortilla. And Carrie has found this store-bought queso dip that is really good. I'm not sure of the brand of it. I'm gonna try to pull up a photo of that I took just because um, I really enjoyed. All right. So this was on our counter all afternoon, which uh was very tempting, and I succumbed to the temptations. And I because I hadn't had that dip, I don't believe. And it was this isn't the container it was in. I thought it was gonna be in the container that she bought it in. But anyways, very great taste. Not the queso cheese dip taste texture that 100%. It's not 100% there for that, but for a snack, it's really good. What I'm looking forward to though is that Carrie says that she found a copycat recipe and she's going to try to recreate that recipe without the salt. And then we could always make our own tortilla chips that don't have the salt as well. Uh, down. But so that was on the counter all afternoon Friday, and I succumb. I don't feel like I had a ton of chips, but I had more than I feel like I should have, I guess, you know. And in the end, I always kind of have to say is, some of these things, if that's the worst I did, I can't feel so bad because I think that's chickpea based dip, and the chips had a high amount of sodium, but nobody would consider that a super unhealthy meal really, or a snack. Um and then Saturday, we had more celebrating. I actually ended up skipping breakfast on Saturday just because Saturdays are a little goofy for me. I have to leave actually earlier than I normally do. And so I skipped breakfast, but then I came home for lunch. I had the oatmeal that I skipped for breakfast. I had that for lunch. So I didn't really miss out on breakfast in the end. And then that evening, we ended up having some family over to celebrate my daughter's birthday. And Carrie actually made a couple of our chilies. We have a mega veggie chili that we really like. She made that, and then she also made, I think it might have been like our lentil stew that we try. This time she did end up cooked it in the Instapot, which she normally cooks it in, but then she kept it warm on the stove and it caused the lentils to break down. And I really enjoyed that. I would have eaten just bowl after bowl of the lentil meal we had. I feel like it was our lentil stew. But um Carrie's parents were visiting. They've been eating a whole food plant-based diet, so it was easy for them. My parents came. They suffered through our bland dinner, I suppose, and we tried to make up for it by having some sweets, cake and vegan chocolate ice cream. Uh and it's crazy. So I went and bought vegan cupcakes, and uh it's interesting because there's only so you don't have much variety. Carrie, when she picked up, we actually had cupcakes for the kids both days. I didn't have cupcakes both days. I did have cupcakes. So, um, the when she picked up the chocolate cupcake, she was like, "Oh, I think there's some vanilla ones right next to it. Maybe try getting those vanilla for when parents are there." And so I went and grabbed the ones that were next to the vegan ones, and I got all the way up to the counter, and I'm looking down at them, and I was like, "Oh, I think those have cream in them." So I ended up putting them and getting the same one. So the kids actually had the same dessert 2 days in a row. I mean, they don't mind. They loved it. It was chocolate with chocolate, uh, stuffed with chocolate. So they don't mind it at all. Um, so let's see. Saturday, had dinner, and again, I was doing really good, and then more tortilla chips, and then I kind of hit the tortilla chips a little bit, and again, I can't feel so bad if that's the worst I do, you know? I mean, there's definitely worse. I could have had worse cheat days over the weekend, or I could have eaten more junk um, than I did. So I really did restrain myself, and I guess I'm talking a lot about all the times I didn't restrain myself, but uh, I did stick to my diet pretty good. And then Sunday, I think I was on diet day. Again, those tortilla chips have just been floating around my house for 3 days. Get rid of them. Um, and then I came in this morning and I got on the scale, kind of reality check. And, I guess, I did have chips on Sunday because I can remember. So Sunday, I was really active for what I normally do, I guess, around the house or just in general. The weather was nicer. It wasn't freezing. It was up in like the maybe upper 30s, lower 40s for most of the day yesterday here. So uh I decided I had to uh get our garage cleaned out. It's something that we had just kind of let it pile up for a long time, and it was getting more difficult for Carrie to park the car in the garage. So hey, Carrie's checking in saying hi. Hi Carrie, I hope everything's going great at home today. But it's been more difficult to get the car in the garage. And so I decided on Sunday that I was like, I gotta get something done with this garage so that it's not a mess anymore. I ended up starting a burn pile and just burned cardboard for like 3 hours because we just had cardboard and paper built up from Christmas and uh, birthday parties and everything. And we get a lot of stuff shipped to us now. You have so much cardboard around now that we never used to have because you would buy the stuff at the store. Now get everything shipped through Amazon. So we had a lot of cardboard piling up. We had boxes, we had cardboard boxes filled with folded up boxes of cardboard that needed to get disposed of. So I burned all that up and just got a bunch of stuff done on Sunday. And then I remember going in the house and there was tortilla chips there and kind of saying it in a joking manner, but also kind of dying a little bit inside, and being like, well, I worked hard. I deserve this, like the classic kind of thing that I've said thousands of times, again. Um, and then in hindsight, what I was thinking about is that what I deserved from all that hard work, or what I wanted from all that hard work, was to have a good weigh in today when I got on the scale. And that's not what I got. What I took was tortilla chips and chickpea quesadilla dip or queso dip, and that's what I got. So I took that short-term pleasure of having the chips and the queso over maybe having a better weigh-in today, and it's just so tough, and it's just like being a little kid, and having you want that thing that's right in front of you right now. You can't, it's hard to focus on the thing that's behind it or what you would get if you didn't take the easy uh the quick snack, and it reminds me of two of the quotes I really enjoy that I've heard since starting this diet. And the first one is that if it's in your pantry or if it's in your house, it's going to be in your mouth. You have it around, you're going to, and that is absolutely what happened with me with these tortilla chips. They're laying out on the counter, and uh if they weren't just out on the counter, if they weren't in the house, then I wouldn't eat them. And uh the other is that, the fat you eat is the fat you wear, or, and that's kind of when you have those tempting things that are in your house that are fatty, then you're going to eat them. And then, you're going to be wearing that fat. And I need to remember those things when I'm not on stream talking about this stuff. I mean, do what I say, not what I do, kind of thing, I guess. In some of these weekends, I need to figure out how to succeed with my diet through the weekends. I succeed with other things, but I just feel like I have a hard time with my diet over the weekends just because it changes the routine and it throws things off. But I also know that in the grand scheme of things across the next 10 years, me having that queso dip with tortilla chips is not going to be anything that bumped the bar real heavy one way or another. My weight is going to trend down. I'm going to hit my goals for this year. I'm going to hit my goal weight, and I'm going to maintain that weight by the time I'm done with my 3-year challenge. And this weekend was in the scheme of, I've done far worse, and many people would look at what I did this weekend and be like, kidding me? That was that was what you're calling a cheat or being off your diet, like they're on diets that are less strict than what I'm doing. But they're strict, but they're more strict. Anyways, um, but yeah, back to reality. I got on the scale this morning, up a couple pounds. So I'm going to do the best I can to get that weight off before Wednesday so I have a good weigh in. I'm not stressing too much about it because it's really going to be like my first weigh in November, even though it is going to be like the 10th or the 9th, I guess, when I weigh in. Um, I lost the 10 pounds I needed to lose in January. I need to go from 320.8 pounds beginning of February to about 311, 110. I got 23 days to do it. Not stressed about it. Um, I'm happy that I was able to celebrate, do all these things with my family this weekend because there was a chance that if I didn't start this in November of 2020, that my daughter would have been celebrating her 9th birthday without me. So that's pretty awesome. I don't have to worry about a lot of those things that I so worried about. All right. So I've been continuing to listen to this book, Salt, Sugar, Fat by Michael Moss. I think the book is awesome. Um, it it really the book I read by Simon Hill, I can't think of the name of it right now. The Proof is in the Plants. Did a lot of talking about industry things that I can remember saying I really liked what he talked about in that book. And this book is just like it's like a history lesson on our nutrition system in the from the business side of the author of this book had interviewed a lot of former executives, some of which aren't happy with the things that they produced in the end. So they were very open about conversations that were being had and the things that they were being told by their bosses. And um, so overall, I enjoy the book. I do recommend it. I'm like 2 hours away from finishing a 14-hour audiobook. So I do anticipate that I'll be able to finish it probably before the end of this week. And yeah, I really enjoy the book. One of the topics or one of the things that the book kind of is based around because it's part of the title essentially, but it's avoiding the 3 pillars of processed. And those 3 pillars of processed food are salt, sugar, and fat. The um I had notes everywhere. Um um I'll wing it. But the salt, sugar, fat though is really it's just important to give me a second, guys. So I had wrote some things down, so it was going to be very just having problems today with my organization. So Yes, avoiding the three pillars of processed food. What are the three pillars of processed food, you might ask? It's salt, sugar, and fat. And I'm not saying that you have to give up salt, sugar, fat. That's not what I'm saying. Is what I'm saying is that you have to give up letting other people control the amount of those things that is in your food. It's when we give other people control of the type and quality of these items that it's creating a lot of health issues for us across the world. Um, you know, when you are doing something for yourself, you're less apt to uh, do something to harm yourself. I used to make an analogy when we went to the gym about going and having a personal trainer. When you go to the gym and work out yourself, you can work out hard, or people, you can work out what you would say is hard. And you would leave saying that I had a good workout. But then when you hire a personal trainer and you let that person control your workout, then you are more likely to have a harder workout because that person is not living that workout. They're not being stressed by the weight. They're not being stressed by being out of breath. They're the one giving the direction so they can make you work out harder or they can push you. That's what trainers, a lot of them thrive themselves on, is being able to push you harder than you thought you could go yourself. Um, or the other analogy I always kind of said was that, like, if you punch yourself in the leg, you can punch yourself so hard, but if you ask your buddy to punch you in the leg, he's going to punch you a lot harder. And the same thing happens with these recipes. When you're making dinner for yourself and you're putting ingredients in there, you're less likely to put 2 tablespoons of salt in your food or a cup of sugar, like you're not as likely to put those high levels of ingredients in your own food that you're feeding yourself. But then, like when you're making food for other people, that's kind of when you do add some of that stuff. I feel like that's that. Oh, she added a little bit of love to it. Well, that little bit of love was that extra pinch of sugar or that little bit more oil or maybe some extra salt, like that was that's that extra love. That's that little bit of sweetness, that little bit more that you do when you're making the food for somebody else. Whereas if you're making it for yourself and you're trying to lose weight, you're going to avoid adding the excess fat, the excess calories. And, um, and it's something where this book talks about that really the government kind of tried to give us a chance by creating these nutrition labels. Um, but the companies have just turned them into a game. They just, I went through it on my last stream about how they change serving sizes and they do it based off of cups versus weight or whatever makes the one food look better than the other. There's no reason why on the shelf a box of shredded wheat should be sitting next to a box of cinnamon toast crunch and the shredded wheat says that it's more calories per serving. It's shouldn't it's not. I mean, it's more calories per their definition of a serving. They create these variable serving size. And then also with a lot of the sodium, they're adding these 0 calorie chemicals to the foods so that it adds flavor and it gives texture, but you're losing a lot. They're removing a lot of the fiber and not it's not whole foods anymore. And, you know, it's seems impossible to get away from. And it is. I mean, this weekend I had difficulty. I succumbed to the temptations of those perfectly formulated tortilla chips with the chickpea quesadilla that they spent thousands of dollars to get the right formula to get me to eat as much as possible of it as well. Um and but to avoid it, you have to go back to scratch cooking. I mean, he talks a lot earlier in the book, he talks about how these companies like Betty Crocker, or these images like Betty Crocker, were created so that people would be more enticed to doing these convenient style, or eating convenient things. But and they created things like Betty Crocker to compete with the fact that people were taking home ec classes, and that you used to have a class that would teach you how to make your own food and to live on your own. And they got rid of that because they introduced convenience stuff. So they're like, well, we have all this convenience stuff. You don't need to know how to cook. I didn't know I wouldn't have been able to cook rice years ago because I never ate rice. Anytime that I ever ate rice, somebody else made it because it was in a burrito or it was with some sort of Mexican dish that I had. And so, and it can be daunting though, because like that, because I don't know how to cook. How many people are sitting here overweight, eating just piles of food, and will look at you and say, I don't know how to cook. You know how to eat. You know how to eat really good, and you don't know how to cook. And so you have to start fixing that. You have to figure out how to start cooking things and learn how to cook to satisfy yourself. Um, but to take control of that stuff, take back control of how much sugar you're eating and how much salt you're having, and really the fat they put in this food, they can go unlimited with it because we don't have any receptors to be like that's too fatty. Like it's just always more fat is always better. And in a lot of cases, we're relying on these companies to just be good on their own, like there's nobody telling them they have to stop adding the sodium to these foods. So just try to avoid the three pillars of processed foods. And when you're getting started, what you have to find a few easy, just staples, just things that you can make that'll fill your gut, that are just not difficult, or they're not too far from what you're used to eating. I know, um, and you can't 100% avoid all processing, but um, for us, oatmeal, like oat groats, is a huge source of a filling food that is not extremely difficult to figure out how to make. Um, Other things, just shredded wheat. I love shredded wheat with raisins and soy milk with no added sugar, and or unsweetened soy milk. Um, Ezekiel bread with uh from Walmart, we get Crazy Richard peanut butter that I'll make 3 or 4 slices of that. Fills my stomach. And those are the foods that I've been eating to lose the 110 pounds. It's now that I'm getting away from those foods and I'm starting adding these things in that I think I can get away with, that it's slowed things down, or that we've gone to restaurants that has slowed the progress down. Um and So start taking control of your own cooking. Start understanding what amounts of salt, sugar, and fat are in what you eat. No matter what you choose to eat, those things are important to keep an eye on. And one of the things that I learned from the book is that uh, there's a huge salt distributor that's actually from Iowa. Crazy. That's where I'm from. Um, that they sell salt from its raw form or in many different forms to all of the food companies in the country. And this company that sells salt sells 40 plus different varieties of salt, not just the normal salt that you think of that's on your table. They have different salt because they create them with different properties. They have a salt that they sell to companies that are making microwave popcorn that is shaped, or it's formulated differently so that when the kernels pop, the salt will cling to that type of a surface. And that's a different kind of salt than they use to make crackers or that they put into bread. And just based on what the manufacturer is using, they send them a different type of salt uh, that best fits their needs. And we've been addicted to salt for millennia, like multiple, like thousands of years. Like salt's been around for you know 6,000 years. They have evidence of salt mines, so it's impossible to get away from salt, and there is salt in everything, and so it is important to have salt in our life, but we do not need the amount of salt that we get. And the book talks about these companies fight every time the government says, "Hey, I think we need to lower the daily limit on sodium." The companies come out and say, "We can't do it. You if you lower it, then now our food becomes 200% of the daily value." And the government says, "Okay, well, we'll lower it half of what we said we were going to lower it." Well, what happened to the good recommendation? What happened to the recommendation that was good for the people that you're giving the recommendation to, not the recommendation that is good for the companies that are selling the crap? So, gotta, get away from it, and you gotta do it on your own. It's not something that's gonna happen on a mass scale. It's just, if you want to get your health under control, look into reducing the amount of added salt, the amount of added sugar, and the amount of added fat you have in. You can get them from natural sources. Eat all kinds of celery, have all kinds of apples, you know, eat avocados. Get them from natural sources. Don't get them from sources where it's ripped out of the avocados, the olives, ripped out of the fruits. Eat them in their whole form, and you're gonna notice a difference in the way your body feels. I'm going to get out of here today, guys. I got a few things going on tonight. I do appreciate you guys checking out my broadcast. I've had a lot of new people subscribe in the last couple weeks. I appreciate you guys. Um, and I will be back on tomorrow, weigh in Wednesday. I don't think that there's anything getting in the way of me streaming every day this week, but you know how things can change quickly. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already and you've listened this far, you're crazy. Hit that subscribe button. Also, click on the bell icon so you'll get alerted when I go live. Uh, Join the Discord, guys. I'd love to hear about what you guys are trying to do and how things are going, your weight loss. Um, and if you haven't started your diet yet, get started right now. No reason to wait. There's nothing more important than getting your health and well being taken care of. Nothing more important this weekend. It's Valentine's Day. I know. You want to go out and you want to celebrate with your Valentine. But if she really loves you, she'll understand you're trying to do something, trying to live longer for her or him or them or they. Um, and so don't wait. Get started right now. Get rid of the junk food. Get rid of the snacks. Get rid of all the processed crap that's in your cupboards and get started right now. And guys, go all in. Don't fall for the myth of moderation. You're not going to slowly change your diet. All of a sudden, it's going to just click. As long as you're continuing to have those salty snacks or those high fat, high sugar items in your diet, you're going to continue to be addicted to them. You're going to continue to strive for them. You're going to continue to make excuses for why you can have them. Just get rid of them. Cut it out of your diet. You'll be much happier when you do. And the other myth of moderation is the myth of moderate eating. You're not going to all of a sudden change your body from wanting to eat 5 pounds of food to wanting to eat 2 pounds of food. And you can do it for a little while. You can cut your portions in half. You can say, I'm going to eat less, but it only lasts for so long. Eat a diet that is high in nutrients and low in calories. That is where you will have the most success. Go for foods that have lowest calorie density. No, they're not the ones you want to go for all the time, but they're the ones that are going to keep you around for a much longer time. So get started, guys. I will see you guys tomorrow, and